Hey, Kara Oosterhuis here with RealAgriculture.com. I'm here today at Farming Smarter's Field Day in Lethbridge, Alberta, and I have here with me Gurbir Dhillon, who is with Farming Smarter. How's it going today?
Pretty good, pretty good.
So we're here to talk about this new trial you have here when it comes to actually terminating a cover crop. Tell me a bit about it.
Yeah, so we are comparing termination methods for cover crops, and the main intent here is to see if we can use certain novel techniques like roller crimping to be able to maximize biomass retention, biomass production, and maybe get maximum benefits like weed suppression, better soil health, and from the cover cropping. So
walk me through this actual machine. What's the process? What does it do?
So the roller crimper, it's basically it's a steel drum. It's a roller with the blunt blades. When we drive it over the crops, it tends to flatten them and it crimps the stems, but it doesn't cut or chop them. So it crimps them at about 6 to 8 inch intervals, and that damages the vascular system of the plants, and then that tends to, so the plants die off if we do it at a proper stage. And so that gives us a thick mulch, like a mat over the surface, and then that mat helps with weed suppression, conserving moisture, regulating soil temperature, all sorts of benefits.
Now this project you have here, this is year 1 of 4. Do you want to talk about what crops you've used it on, and do you plan to try any others next year?
Yeah, so for this project we had 2 cover crops, fall rye and winter oats, planted in fall at 2 timings, early September and late September, around September 20th. Fall rye did great. We had a very decent biomass and we were able to roller crimp it pretty effectively, although it was a little bit earlier, maybe 7 to 10 days earlier. It was at late heading stage and we wanted to be in that anthesis stage. Winter oats, we didn't do great in terms of overwintering. We had a very decent stand establishment in fall, but with the winter low temperatures, it just didn't seem to do great, and so we didn't really have a great stand established in spring. So we might be looking at maybe using another variety or another crop for winter oats, but with fall rye, we can maybe use an early maturing variety to see if we can get that extra week.
So what are you looking at for termination dates? Like, when would you actually be going across with the roller crimper?
This season we did it at end of May. It's important to be able to do it in the late reproductive stages, so we delayed it as much as possible, and the system might work at this point with only late seeded crops, feed barley or maybe hemp, but we wanted to test it out and see if we can use it for those kinds of crops. Even with the May 26th roller crimping, we had to do another pass on June 8th, but yeah, we were able to get decent roller crimping at those dates.
So talk about why looking at research like this is so important when we head into things like herbicide resistance and those sorts of ideas.
Yeah, so the main purpose of roller crimping, one of the major benefits of it is weed suppression. It gives us like a thick mulch if it is effective, and that suppresses the weeds. There are cover crops competing with the weeds in the fall and the spring, and then that mulch is able to suppress the early season weeds. So then we can maybe cut down on herbicide burn down, and maybe even reduce in-crop applications of herbicides. So it can help us reduce our reliance on the herbicides, and especially with the herbicide resistance issues and the environmental concerns around using too many herbicides. It can be one of the ways that we can cut down on them. And then there are other benefits, like it can help us maybe improve soil health, increase soil carbon in the soils, and obviously soil erosion is a huge problem here with the Chinook winds. So having something anchoring the soils and covering the soils in those shoulder seasons is a big benefit.
So far throughout your trials here, have you done different trials with different amounts of passes through them? Like, are you just going over it once with the roller crimper, or are you going through a couple times?
We had to do it a couple of times this year. We have two trials, one here at Lethbridge, the other one is at Bow Island. And it's kind of adaptive in that we will have to see how well we are able to kill the cover crops. So next year, if we are able to use an early maturing variety and we're able to kill it with just the single pass, that is probably ideal, because then you basically don't have to do two passes. With the roller crimping, you can seed behind the roller crimper in that first pass, so that reduces the number of passes that you need. So yeah, that is the target, but if we have to do it twice to kill it effectively, then that's where we're at.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you very much for your time.